citizen gathering as a statement about how essential U.S. aid to Ukraine is and that we're not giving up on it. And as a Democrat, I especially want to commend my Republican colleagues, those who are here and a few others who have not been intimidated by this new administration's action and inaction when it comes to Ukraine, because they recognize that it's the security of American families that is at stake. Having failed to fulfill his previous declaration that he would resolve this conflict in a single day, President Trump has demanded that Ukraine enter negotiations. During such negotiations, Secretary Rubio has declared that each side will have to give up something. Well, I think that ignores the fact that Ukraine has unwillingly given up about 55,000 lives in this conflict. It ignores the fact that they have been deliberately attacked by Russian missiles, whether at a kindergarten or a senior citizens center. That Ukraine has already given up 20,000 kidnapped children, and that it has given up one obliterated city and village after another with an estimated total cost of almost $1 trillion. The war criminal Putin, he hasn't given up anything. He would exploit any pause that we have to re-attack Ukraine and then our Baltic allies.
Must be victory not only for Ukraine's sake, but for our own. If we fail to defeat Ukraine's Russian criminal invader, America will look weak. The free world will look vulnerable. And the principle of sovereignty that underpins our international system will look like a thing of the past. Enemies of freedom around the world are watching. America's next move. History tells us that if America answers an expansionist dictator with appeasement, now a day may come when America must send not only weapons overseas, but also service members, as Joe Wilson observed. When the sirens and shells deafen American ears, when caskets returning from the front line are draped in red, white, and blue, not blue and gold.
This illegal war against her by the third largest military in the world, led by dictator Vladimir Putin. His murderous Russian killing machine must be driven back inside his own borders. Let us set the record straight. Russia, without provocation, brutally invaded the free and sovereign nation of Ukraine. Beginning in 2014, Russia has perpetrated a horrendous, costly war for over a decade against Ukraine's right to exist.
Gospel. It's what Jesus would do. You can't stand with Jesus and not stand with Ukraine. You can't stand with Jesus and not be with the poor. You can't stand with Jesus and not be merciful to forced migrants who have lost everything and have nothing to go back to. You can't stand with Jesus and not stand with those who show the greatest love according to his words. Because there is no greater love than when one gives his life for his friends. So let us pray, dear brothers and sisters.
In the most recent elections in Moldova, indeed, the interference by war criminal Putin failed. In Romania, again, he failed so far. And so additionally, it's given inspiration to the people of the Republic of Georgia to stand up against a Putin intrusion in their interference in the election. And then, most remarkably, indeed, in just 12 days, the dictatorship of Assad in Syria collapsed. This was a regime that provided, of course, the Navy base on the Mediterranean for war criminal Putin as he tries to recreate the failed Soviet Union. And additionally, he lost his air base. And so over and over again, there's been progress, and so much of it relates truly to the courage of the people of Ukraine and the way they've stood up. And so it needs to be looked at with the horrible loss of life what has been achieved. And then, as a Republican, I'm very, very grateful that President Donald Trump was truly the first chief executive to work to try to avoid this conflict. He sent Javelin missiles to Ukraine to stop war criminal Putin. He put American troops for the first time in history in Poland to send a message to war criminal Putin in the tradition of Ronald Reagan, Mr. Gorbachev teared